to the first edition of T+O+M Talks. We're going to meet the various heads of desks at T+O+M Executive to understand the landscape and the skill sets that they cover and the job opportunities, any noticeable trends within the landscape where those skill sets are deployed. This morning we have none other than Stuart Jackson. Welcome, Stu.
Good morning.
Thank you for volunteering first to be part of this exercise.
I'd love to be first.
But for those of those that don't know you very well, would you mind just giving a brief background of yourself? How long you've been in the Sydney market for? And,
yeah, sure. So I'm a recruiter through and through. I've recruited across the project, BA, change, strategy and product space in financial services in Sydney for the past 17 years. And I work with a team of really dedicated recruiters that specialise in each of those verticals. So I think collectively, in projects and change, we've got 37 years collective experience within the team, purely focused on Sydney and financial services.
Great, thank you. Stu, you also cover the strategy and product space.
Yep.
So you're quite uniquely positioned to understand what business units are thinking of from a broader perspective, and then what kind of projects and scopes of work might be executed through that strategy. Is that right?
Yeah, I think the rationale there is typically projects will be funded from building new product capability, or new operating model, or new platform development, and being able to span strategy and product work as well as the transformation work. It enables us ideally to be positioned and understand trends in the market and what's happening where and why, which is why we keep all the functions together.
Great. So let's get specific into transformation and change. What's actually driving supply demand?
I don't think it's anything too different to what you would have already heard. So, digitisation continues to be a key trend. Most of the institutions that we deal with are continuing to invest in building new analytical capability. Customer experience is absolutely right up there. And I think, the ongoing work around simplification of the operating model to improve the customer's experience via any channel, but taking cost out of the business. They're the obvious kind of big bucket areas. More specifically, in retail banking, mortgages continues to be a massive investment area for all of the big four. New payments technology and capability is really the focus of more the business and corporate banks. And within life insurance, there continues to be new legislation that needs to be implemented. So I'd say they're probably key areas of focus.
And with it's transformation and change, you could argue it's pretty much cutting edge.
Yep.
It's a dynamic world to be involved in. Qualifications, they can be a controversial subject matter at times.
Yes.
And they seem to be, there's often a flavour of the year or flavour of the month with regards to those qualifications. Can you just elaborate on some of the ones that you see that are popular, some of the ones that are more valued perhaps than others?
So I guess the core ones would be CBAP, ProSci, Agile, and Prince2 for some of the methodologies across project management, BA, change, and the emerging world of Agile. I think qualifications are great to see that either contractors or permanent employees continue to advance and develop themselves. But 9 times out of 10, a client won't hire on qualifications within the transformation and change world. They'll be looking for evidence of delivery using any one of the techniques or methods. So I think people need to, yes, do the qualifications, but they need to maintain a really versatile skill set so they can adapt to the different ways of working that Agile's the main one at the moment, but that's going to evolve. So I think that versatility and adaptability are key.
Okay. You mentioned Agile a couple of times.
Yep.
What started out, I think, forgive me if I'm wrong, more sort of in the digital, the tech side of industry.
Yep.
And now it seems to be becoming a slightly more embedded in mainstream.
Yep.
How does that impact on your traditional BA or your traditional PM?
I think it's not going to impact. It is impacting. So people that have only ever worked in a traditional waterfall environment most growth orientated initiatives in the market today are being driven using Agile. So Agile is definitely the first approach for growth, digital or customer experience style projects, but it is also being utilised more widely across the broader project landscape. So I think typically organisations will either do Agile, Waterfall or a blend of both, and they'll determine which methodology fits that initiative more specifically, but in way of what people need, it's again that versatility to be able to work across and in using many different methods.
Yeah. So let's have a look at the world of transformation and change from a candidate perspective. Assuming I'm the candidate, and again, an assumption that the ideal is to graduate into a program management type role. I'm either a BA or project manager looking to move up the transformation and change employment ladder. Am I better off doing some shorter, high impactful projects on a contract basis, or is it more beneficial from a career perspective to actually join an organisation in a more permanent role and maybe cycle around some projects and hoping for that kind of elevation in career?
Typically, contractors won't get given the opportunity to go contracting until they've learnt their trade. So I think as you're building your career as a BA or a PM, you may have come off one of the grad programs. It would be best to go through a number of rotations within the organisation as a perm. I guess you've then got a decision to make around, do you go contracting where you can actually build an understanding different stakeholder environments, different political environments, where you can continue to test your delivery ability. I think people that can build a portfolio of skills, whether it's contract or perm, I think having the experience of doing both is definitely something I'd recommend. But I would say if you are looking to go from PM to program management, then the optionality to do that in a permanent capacity and get a lot of the development from the organisation is something I'd recommend, versus getting to that program management level and then going contracting again. So I think you need to have an ongoing focus on your development. That said, we know and work with a tremendous amount of really experienced senior BAs that have been contracting for 10 plus years. It's been highly lucrative, and they've done a great job, and they continue their development personally rather than needing that to come from the organisation. So it is genuinely a very independent thing.
Okay. Then just putting the client hat or the hiring manager's hat on, given that there is capable candidates out there on paper, every candidate that maybe you might submit on a shortlist has an argument to be the lucky one chosen for a role. How do you go about actually assessing one candidate over another for its applicability and skill set?
So I guess it differs depending on the role type. For senior BAs, to actually understand their ability to facilitate and document workshops and run workshops, I think that's something that you can tend to see from your first 5 minutes of interaction with them. I think you can see it in the way the resume is written around how they've documented their experience. And I think typically you can get a good reference check on somebody via the piece of work they've been working on most recently. You would typically have an understanding of how that initiative is going or went. So you'll be able to ask the right questions around their domain and their involvement. For senior BAs, I think unpicking the we versus I is really important. So I'd leave that there as the senior BA category. PM program managers, I guess they're more involved in a lot more of the politics and the stakeholder management piece, which if you're working in one of the big listed FS entities, politics and the stakeholder environment is what you're paid to do. So you've got many different multi-year initiatives that have got wide-ranging interdependencies, so you need to be able to manage your initiative to get the best outcome for the sponsor. I think the sponsor relationship, knowing exactly how to manage that, and then as you progress, it's about the level of sponsor and stakeholder that you can interact with. So some people are very capable at operating at a certain level, But when you're on the hook for a multi-year, multi-million-dollar investment and you've got board and C-level scrutiny, that takes a certain level of gravitas and experience.
Right. Stu, thanks very much for being on Tom Talks. It's been really, really informative. I've certainly learned